welcome back to the HCS EU Regional Finals, folks. And before the break, if you blinked too much, you would have missed it, because Ascend shot through their first series of the weekend, taking on Reclaimer. They had a hot start and kept it aggressive and fast-paced. The only slight stop sign they saw was at the beginning of Strongholds, but quickly adapted to it and were right back in the mix of things. Ending things in a swift fashion, to say the least. Respectful really showed us what he is capable of and doing for this roster. His aggression, high individual skill level, and good vibes are only to name a few. Can this Ascend roster, though, be stopped? That is the big question that we will be finding out all weekend long as they proceed through pool play and hopefully into that winners bracket tomorrow as we get into the championship bracket as well. But you may notice, folks, we're back on the desk with some new faces in town. I got Jersey, the Irish wonder god, coming onto the desk here. I also have, yeah, you're going to take it? You're going to take that one?
I'll take it.
We'll take it. We'll take it. We have Gaskin, his sidekick.
You can't get touched. Oh,
that's embarrassing.
I'll just go. Irish wonder god, Gaskin.
Yes,
all right,
just Gaskin.
And then we got Lethal.
And we got Lethal, he's absolutely lethal on the desk, so we love to see it.
Stop it, you.
So, folks, we have a little bit to talk about here, of course, because we do have another match coming our way very shortly on the main stage. Quadrant versus Scorched Hand. Now, excited to talk about this one because Quadrant, they're a little bit of a question mark at the moment, just in terms of the way things have gone in the past couple of weeks. And for me, the way that they've backpedaled after hitting Ascend off their pedestal, winning their first pro series, something that they had been trying to do for such a long time this season, they did it. But then things just went downhill for them, and it was a bit of a strange one, to be honest, and it kind of came down to Online Warriors, the way that they were performing, the way Ascend bounced back. So in terms of Quadrant, where they're at right now for you heading into this LAN, Jersey, what would you say about them?
I think with Quadrant, generally when it comes to LAN, they turn up. I know in online competitions, they're a bit of a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. You don't know what to expect from them, but I expect them to finish top 2 here, I think, this weekend. I think that's the ambition, and they're pretty confident. I was speaking to them, they said top 1, so that's what I love to hear. These boys are coming to play.
They certainly are coming to play, and I think playing to the best of their ability is going to be huge for them. Gaskin, looking at the transition of online to LAN, Quadrant, is this going to play in their favor?
Yeah, I mean, Richie's right. They have historically been better on LAN than online. They traditionally do very well in scrims, but then poorly in online tournaments, and then suddenly just come out of nowhere and perform well on LAN. It's almost like they enjoy being that team that is unexpected, like people don't really know which team is going to turn up. My question mark is going to be on Nurex, because after the change with Fragger leaving and Nurex being added to that team once more like he was way back when they first formed, how is that going to play? Is he going to be able to play the same role that he used to? Does he now have to fill in different shoes? Does he have to try and play in a different way? So this Quadrant roster still I'm a little bit unsure on. I know that they're capable of even going on to win the event with some of the players they have on this team, but they certainly need to show a little bit more kind of solid performances than what we've seen online.
For sure. And before we dive really deep into the team and what to expect here, are you looking forward to seeing Quadrant play on LAN, Lethal? Is that going to give you some indication of how potentially this tournament might go for them?
Yeah, they just thrive off being in an offline environment. I don't know why compared to other teams. They are also elimination bracket specialists. We've seen it time and time again where they could drop down to round 2 or towards the end. They always make it one way or another into that losers final. So they always seem to thrive off that. But it's the change, which I don't understand with the Fragger new exchange, because they're both very similar, not in terms of style of play, but in terms of how they are statistically. So kind of a few question marks here and there. I do feel like Fragger actually performed at his best back at KC. So again, it's just a few questions need to be asked, but again, like we said before, we'll find out, but this will be a little bit of an indicator in this next match.
Even though Fragger performed its best at KC, it still wasn't good enough for this Quadrant roster. I think that they still want to go that one step further, and I think that it's the case that Nurex was in the right place at the right time. He was just a natural fit. I imagine that if there was an option of someone else, maybe they could have gone for it, but they were like, Nurex has been here before, we need a quick change. That's why they won that first Pro Series when we came back, because they were the quickest to gel after all the team changes.
I'll tell you what, we're desperate to talk about them, but I know I'm desperate to hear from them themselves to see exactly how they're feeling about this matchup, how they're feeling about Valencia being on LAN against the best of Europe. Let's find out how they're feeling, shall we?
Each positions, the ones where you have to expose yourself a little bit. And Jinx firing again! Do it! Overkill!
My name is Sebastian, Czech, player for Team Quadrant. We are here for the win, so just play every team we want, and the final result will be the same. We want to be on the top, so we want to smash everyone.
Sneaker hits the respawn screen as well. Is that going to open up the map just a touch? But it's a full map. Oh, into a double kill grenade.
Hi guys, I go by Morgan, and I play for Scorched Hand. they don't know about Zell with this Bulldog in their bar. And look at how he's behind some of the enemy players. This is a beautiful flank from Zell now with Rockets coming up, like you said.
The first match will be against Scorched. Win against them, honestly, just play our game. So that's it.
And SLG's trying to fulfill that as well. And it does look like firing now. It could be a triple as well. That's the SLG that we know. That's the SLG of all.
My team, we're kind of like the leftover people. We're kind of the underdogs going in. No one's like expecting us to do well. People have placed us at like maybe getting top 6, maybe getting top 8.
Starting to engulf from Team Twisted. Keeps that lead in their favor. However, Disarray.
He's going to have to do some work here, and he's going to do some work. Can he turn this into a triple kill here? Yes, he can. Big boy Batchford.
Against Quadrant, it's all about just not letting them play at the pace that they play. They're one of the best teams in Europe, and if they get the snowball on the game, you just can't get back in.
Be ready, guys, because Quadrant online is not the same Quadrant than on LAN.
Well, there you have it. Very feisty from all of our teams so far, and they're feeling pretty confident as well. I've got to say, Quadrant, focusing on these guys first. We've had a lot to say about them. We've had a lot of expectations on them for quite some time now, just in terms of this team, this roster, what they're capable of, the individual talent that pours through this one. We could hear some crazy shouts from Gaskin in his casting, shouting about SLG, the SLG we know, the SLG we've loved for so long. Hoping that comes back on our screens today on LAN is all of us here in this arena, because I want a good Quadrant roster coming out on this LAN. Shirzi, let's quickly talk about them. What do you need to see right now on this main stage? They say start as you mean to go on. What do you need to see, the switch that needs to be flipped by Quadrant?
Well, you used the word expectations, and that's a really key word, I think, because when they've typically gone to North America, they're not expected to win the tournament, they're not expected to, finish top 8. That was not an expectation put on them. Now all of a sudden we're rolling in here, and they have expectations of getting top 2. Well, show us right here, right now, because Scorched are no easy task, let me tell you. These boys will want to be getting that upset.
And I love what Chick said. You know, we're a different team when it comes to LAN. We're not the same team you've seen online at the Super, in these Pro Series, where they have dwindled away at times, and we've been questioning, is this the Quadrant that is the same as Kansas City? But no, they perform well at Kansas City. I know they're going to perform well here today, because the players like Chick, like SLG, they do thrive in these environments, and they are going to look at this series saying this is a must-win, and it will be a win, and it'll be a dominant one.
Love to hear that. On the other side of things, a team that are looking to really shake things up and shake the confidence of Quadrant is Scorched. Lethal, talk to me about this roster. What do they bring to the table? What can they potentially capitalize on here?
The tough thing about this team is that I want to see Batchford really step up. He's not really seen it or been done so in quite a while. I know he's had a few problems at home, audio issues, and other bits and bobs have been a little bit demoralised coming into this event, but he's stepped in this game up massively over the last month or so, just trying to at least show what he's really capable of in terms of his slaying power. He's got familiar face in terms of Zer. He's teamed with him multiple times over the last 6 or 7 years. And even with Riot's on the team, I've been quite impressed with how Riot's has been performing, because normally Riot's is normally in the same inner circle, the same 6 to 8 players you normally witness in that top 4, top 6 kind of area. So it's nice to see Riot's delve in with some other, not new faces, but familiar faces anyway, just being on an entirely different roster. And also for Riot's, he has improved a little more than I expected. I thought it would be a little bit worse off, but his lane power is still there, even though he's a little bit older than the rest of the pack.
I think going back to Batchford, this is a real crossroads for him. He got dropped by Vexed, who were a top 8 seed, and now he's found himself on a top 6 team. So somehow he's managed to get dropped and find himself onto a better team. But this is where he needs to show and get back to his winning ways. Show why he's been one of the best players in Europe for a long time during Halo 5, and light the series up.
I do think that this Scorched roster plays into the hands of Riot. It's a player who does thrive with players who play a little bit quicker than him, so he can anchor a little bit at times. He can be that damage dealer, and I'm excited for what this team can do. They don't necessarily have as much practice. They haven't been a team as long as Quadrant, but if they do start to gain momentum, they could be a real contender for top 6, if not further, breaking into top 4. So I think teams like Quadrant, they need to make sure they do beat down teams like this. They can't give them an inch, because otherwise they will take them off.
And Dan, while I still have you, mate, it's your favourite. We've got a series layer up on the boards. I've got to ask, in terms of the composition of this team, with Disarray being a last-minute pickup here, is there anything that you can see that they might utilise to their benefit going up against Quadrant?
I think looking at Slayer Catalyst, that's a big one for Scorched. I think they have to be taking game number 2 to give them a real chance in this series, because Strongholds Live Fire, one of Quadrant's better game types. They are usually very successful, whether it be in a live environment or whether it's a practice environment. They always seem to know what they're doing, and the fact that Live Fire appears twice in this series, I think goes against Scorched ever so slightly. So for me, it's got to be these opening 2 games. You've got to give yourself as much of a chance before these live fire maps really start to come into the equation.
You do indeed, and I'll tell you something. There's going to be a couple of heads bumping on that main stage, and some of them are going to be the likes of Chick and Batchford, who are our head-to-heads right now heading into this series. And Lethal, I want to talk about this because we've got the likes of Chick, who we know what he can do and he can accomplish. I mean, my goodness, I've seen that overkill clip 100 times now, and I'm not sick of it. This guy is so talented, and he can be a real game changer when it comes to the team, this series. And then on Scorched Batchford, you know, the comparison that we're making here, what do you see out of Batchford here in this team? What can he do that can really kind of push things up and elevate it for the squad?
Well, what's on Chick so far is one of the best decision makers you see so far. Very intellectual in terms of some of the plays he makes, but also when you are an RGL, the fact that he's sacrificing his lane power on multiple occasions and still pull off those overkills, which I might actually be the top 5 play of the year, if not. But with Batchford, the reason why I've selected him as well, we haven't really seen much of. He's been lurking in the shadows, and he used to be one of the best players in terms of the Halo 5 in 2019. I want to see more of that, and I know, and he knows as well, is more than capable of being able to do that. Just need the right players around him. We know, yes, you're fair enough for Scorched Hand, they're more of a makeshift roster, but sometimes nowadays, especially with a game like Halo Infinite, most of these teams aren't going to be very fluid, they aren't going to be very structured, but that's actually an advantage this time around. If it was back on Halo 3 or anything like that, there'd be a huge disadvantage. But you've got to remember, for Quadrant, they're definitely going to be struggling in some areas, but for Quadrant now, you saying before, Dan, was the fact that they've got 2 live fire maps. Yeah, sure, but Scorched Hand, there is a couple of maps that could work in their favour, like Aquarius, CTF, etc. But the problem is, right now, Quadrant are way too experienced, they're in that offline environment again. It should be a clean sweep, and we'll see how things go. But I'll be keeping my close eyes on Batchford to see if he's improved over the last few weeks.
I think for Batchford, this is a great opportunity to reignite his Halo Infinite career. I think he's dwindled down a little bit. It's really, there's been no smoke, no spark there for a long time. And particularly on that Vex roster, they had some high highs, but it had some of the lowest lows. So I really want to see him bounce back here and put on a performance. And Quadrant is the best team to do it against, because if you can take a couple of games here, then people will start to take notice.
They will indeed. I'll tell you what, I'm taking notice of the time. Gents, it's time to get into game. We have our 2 casters on standby. We got Onset and Bravo on the mics as we get into Quadrant versus Scorched Hand.
Thank you, Lonnie. Ready for this one for sure. The first time we get to see the boys who you won't miss walking around the venue in those beautiful fluorescent shirts is, of course, Quadrant that we're talking about. A team change like there has been with many of the rosters that we've seen in Europe, and especially coming into this LAN here in Valencia. And we're going to have to see, what's the team change? What was needed to push these guys into first place?
That is the question, of course. A lot to play for here for this team, and an opportunity. Let's not sugarcoat it. For the rest of the year, this could be the Quadrant story, right? With a win here and top performances at the remaining global events, this could be Quadrant taking over Europe. That's what's ahead of them here this weekend. They've got a lot of teams to go through, though, if they want to make that the case.
Yeah, they certainly have. And this will be a real test. In my opinion, probably the closest match series we're going to see, well, we will see up until this point, right? Scorched Hand, they have been a team who kind of got thrown together. These are leftovers of other teams, all the changes that went down. And I tell you what, they are no easy team to beat. It is very difficult to do. Some of the scrim results they've had where they've been pushing teams right to the end, even if it doesn't go in their favor, kind of the final result. Every game is a fight for anyone who goes up against them. And I'm really excited to see how they perform against a Quadrant team who certainly look focused coming into today.
They absolutely do. Game number 1, going to be CTF on Aquarius, Quadrant versus Scorched Hand. Hope you've been enjoying the HCS EU Regionals here. Been a fantastic way to start off the weekend with some great games on screen. We expect this series to be no exception as we're about to jump in. And as we said, an opportunity for the first foray on main stage for the French side. It'll be an entirely French side versus an entirely English side. Here we go, underway. Game number 1, Quadrant versus Scorched Hand. I'm
not sure that you've just made a friend of Batchford there, because the man is from Scotland. Please remember this, Andy.
He is.
That is not England.
I want to blame Liquipedia for having a Union Jack next to Batchford.
Okay, fair enough. Liquipedia will come in for you. Andy will be... who's it? Camille, the lawyer who worked for Johnny Depp. Anyway, not represented by the same person, I'm sure. But for now, let's focus on Halo. Let's leave the lawyers to do their job. But we're going to watch Riots. I mean, the man has camouflage to start off with, and He's a player who has always been thereabouts. Everybody knows who Riot's is, and this is a really interesting kind of lineup for him to find himself on. Surrounded by some new talent. You've got Disarray, you've got Batchford, who's kind of one of those talents who's been hovering around looking for the opportunity, and of course Xur, who's been there or thereabout, around that top 12, top 8 for some time. And I think this man's got something to prove.
Absolutely does here, and Riot's no stranger to the main stage here, and a man after clutches heart with a t-shirt like that. Now going to try to hold down Gen as long as he can.
It's certainly true. We'll leave that story for another time, maybe when we get a little bit of a break between games. But for now, the first pull is going to be coming in from Quadrant. They're getting that flag moving, a really important 1v1, not just to take here, but also to survive. Riot's is going to do that. The flag is still moving. Nurix is going to be in position to take him down, but that's 2 players damaged there pretty heavily by Riot's. The rest of his team now need to move and capitalize on that, but it looks like the spawns have been controlled in a way where this flag run is going to be pretty safe here for Nurix. Shad picks up 2 off the respawners. That will be 1-0 to Quadrant. It's pretty conclusive and pretty clean the way they get that flag back.
Very comfortable as well there. You see Nurix actually going straight up. He got the comms that they were going to have the opportunity to run that flag as fast as they can, and now he's finding fridge spawners, and his teammates are going to be waiting for them in the back of the base. Looks like they'll do well to clear out of their fridge, and they'll get a little bit of a reset opportunity with this 2v2, but it's a great cap on the board for Quadrant.
Now, understandably, there's going to be eyes on the man on your screen throughout this weekend because it was a big change. Quadrant, arguably the standout performer in Europe back in Kansas City, where they kind of took the world by storm, so to speak. It wasn't just, you know, Ascend that people were talking about. It was this lineup, and rightly so. But that team change is going to be looked at heavily if their performance is going to improve or if it was a mistake. And I think that can be said about a lot of the teams that made changes coming into this event.
I was going to say, that's the question for so many teams here. Eagle Eye on the camo from Disarray. Nice work with the heat wave to make sure he takes down Shad. 2 dead for Quadrant at the moment. An opportunity for them to get a little bit of control. 3 dead. Last player is Flag Runner. That should be a clean wipe.
Yeah, great work here from Disarray as well. Just moving around the map so freely. And most importantly, with that heat wave, just chunking away at the shields to make sure that it was minimal amount of shots that had to be fired to be efficient enough to pick up those kills. And mid-map control fully in the hands here of Scorched Hand. Quadrant find themselves just for a moment here on the back foot.
Nice work there from Nurix to make sure to push all the way back into the gen, but so far, like you said, some good pressure. 3 dead, though, for Scorched Hand, and it's going to be Riot's last player alive in the back of the base.
Just trying to survive for now, trying to buy some time. The flag is going to be thrown out here by Riot, which is going to give him time to re-engage there onto Chick and actually win that beatdown fight. So good work inside the base. Nurix will wrap back and do the dirty work to make sure that that base is clear. And on the other side of things, Shad's behind enemy lines here, being a nuisance for Scorched Hand.
Xur down again, 4 dead once again, and now Quadrant, you have to think maybe starting to heat up with back-to-back 4 deads like that.
Yeah, Nurix's been impressive so far as well. You know, he's sat at 5 and 4, but he's doing a lot of the right things. When you're seeing him, he's doing damage, he's holding down great positions, and he's allowing his teammates to perform across the map and create space for them to do so. From the back of that Nurix play, engaging with that player, picking up the kill, slowing down another. Shad puts the second flag in, and sometimes it's not all about statistics, as we know. It's about how you position yourself and what opportunities you create for the rest of the team, and Nurix is doing that so far.
That's right, Shad probably picks up this one. No, that gets denied, but not before Shad is 11-6 in this game already, and by far the largest kill-death delta across the whole board. It's a great start for him.
It certainly is. Disarray now with a chance to do the slaying, and he's got the tick-tick-tick onto Shad inside of that fridge as well. So unfortunately for him, Batchford gets taken down pretty comfortably by Nurix, and now it's a case of just surviving, getting behind enemy lines. If you can pick up a kill or 2, you're going to allow your teammates to be able to breathe off of spawn. But at the moment, he's doing damage, but the kills are not falling in his favor. The wrap back comes in once again from Nurix, making sure that he is positioning himself well to make sure there's no danger inside the base.
Batch was last player alive for just a second, but before I could even mention it, he was taken down. Players are now going to be spawning in, and it's Quadrant just continuing to steamroll here. You got Shad, 13-6, Chick, 10-6 already.
And once again, Nurix not picking up a huge amount of kills here, even though that one is going to be onto Batchford. But look at the time he's buying his teammates here. Engaging with 3 different players, making them work, and Chick just runs the flag in the other side. It's perfect teamwork. It's perfect, you know, coordination from the team to make sure that the priority is that flag carrier to keep all of the Scorched Hand players as far away as possible.
Love that. Look at the energy. Look at the enthusiasm there from Chick. He gets that kill on the peak. Getting stoked about it, letting the team know, and already seeing some great momentum here for the Quadrant side. You can tell by the way they're leaning to their left and their right on their comms, screen watching with each other. It's already 3-0, and they're looking great. It's a great start for the French side.
Yeah, really solid across the board from everyone so far. It's going to be SLG wrapping back with a teammate, and I mean, the teamwork, if you need an example of it, how to play those situations, There it is. Riot's going to take damage. SLG's still alive. And Nurix is just there holding his hand saying, you survive, I'll pick up the pieces, my friend. The teamwork from Quadrant is exemplary so far.
Clip it. That is an unbelievable... Actually, don't clip it yet. Wait, because you're going to have to hit clip in just a moment, because this is incredible teamwork from Quadrant, baiting and switching on the back of the base, flying into the gen, consistently 2 dead again. Fantastic work from Quadrant. If you are a fan of this French team, you're loving what you're seeing on screen right now.
Yeah, SLG hitting the slide as well. It's just efficient. It's ruthless, the way they're moving across the map. And when one player starts the fight and another one ends it, you know you're working well together at the moment when both players do survive. And for now, even with Disarray picking up 1 kill, Cheek's going to force this one up those straight stairs. But a last-second stand actually coming in for it here from Scorched.HVND. And even though the teamwork was great, maybe they just took a little bit too long to shadow that flag carrier back, and it is a return that's going to come in.
And to be honest, SLG stayed alive. We'll talk about that in a second, though, because this flag's going in, and we'll see how this standoff goes. There it is.
Flag goes in. We got a game on our hands, 3-1, and even though there was so much good to talk about from Quadrant, it's Scorched.HVND who make the goal line stop.
Hold the phone, as they said on the desk, as we said here in the booth. Scorched.HVND is not a team to take lightly, and maybe that's a little bit of momentum they needed in game number 1. To be honest, this should be a 4-0 game in favor of Quadrant. SLG went straight stairs with that flag, and he had a teammate. He thought that he had the flag land on the straight stairs bridge. Instead, it falls. It cost him the flag cap, so now 5 minutes left, and it's only a 2-flag game.
Quadrant find themselves 2 dead, but all these kills at the moment from Scorched.HVND being picked up inside of their own base, so they're not going to be able to really assert any kind of map control, although now, with 3 still in the respawn screen, they might have the chance to hit that 50-yard line and really put some pressure on, but who else but Chick in the kill feed to get that first pick, which allows now Nurix and the teammates to at least get out of the base and start putting pressure on the map.
And let's not forget, Disarray right now, 17 and 13. Good numbers from him. The rest of the team not exactly on the same page kills-wise, but that's because Disarray's been picking up a lot of those. He also leads the team in assists. He's been doing the damage. Nice win from Riot as well.
Yeah, really, really good stuff here. And maybe just 1 flag is all you need. We say just a foothold, a way to kind of give yourself the belief that you should be in this game. And Bashford's starting to find some kills as well. And the most impressive thing here from Scorched.HVND, they're finding the kills while they're moving forward. They're making sure that they're doing it while advancing up the map. And that is creating opportunities for flags to be moved.
4:20 now left in the game, and even though Scorched.HVND is starting to heat up and starting to also get some kills on the board, not a whole lot of time to play with against a team like this when you're down by 2 flags. They need to start moving things quickly.
On the same side, though, we have seen back-to-back flag caps happen very quickly. We've seen 10 seconds left on the clock, and somehow teams manages to turn things around. Fair enough, those teams might have been Sentinels, Cloud9, maybe on a slightly different level to what we're seeing in this particular matchup, but it is very doable as we do cross that 4-minute mark now. 2 flags still the difference between the 2 teams.
I don't know what Disarray had for lunch, but I want some of whatever he had for lunch. 19 and 15 here. 2 dead for Scorched.HVND, though, and on the other side, the entire side really, Shad and Chick both on 20 kills already. They have something to say about that, and they might now have a little bit of footing they needed. It looks shaky for a few minutes, but it looks like they're back in control.
Right, so making Nurix work hard for it. A beautiful little grenade just bounced off of those stairs towards top pink. I mean, it's a grenade that everybody's died to. If you've played Halo for any amount of years, you've always found yourself either on midship or Truth or wherever you might be. That grenade just bouncing up and banked up to pink to take you down. And Disarray now adds another kill to his tally. He's now 21 and 15. And this is a player who, you know, he's came over from Call of Duty and he's certainly starting to make a name for himself. And you can see why with shots like that.
And honestly, you can tell his movement, right? It comes from a Twitch shooter background. He's hitting the bottom middle, he's hitting the thrust, he's going back and forth within the sandbox weapons, using the sidekick, using the commando. This guy knows how to play shooters. He's bringing a lot of that expertise to Halo.
These kills still being picked up around the 50-yard line. They need to progress up the map a little bit. They need to see some aggression here. Bashford's kind of circling back. Knows there's multiple players inside of his base, but instead of dealing with this, I'd like to see actually Bashford try and be a bit more aggressive and move across the map a little bit, get these shots from middle map. See if you can pick them up and allow teammates to pick up the pieces while moving forward, because we've got 2 minutes 30 left on the clock. That is starting to wind down that clock, and now you get into this situation where if things don't start going your way, and you start getting a little bit desperate and not moving forward, then Quadrant can put the 4th flag in and this could be game over.
Let's see how this goes. There's 1 dead for Quadrant on the flag standoff right now. It's a big win for Riot. 3 dead. That's going to be a flag return, and the other flag should continue.
Such a big 1v1 coming in from Riot. He's been doing it for quite some time. Big Daddy Riot is going to win the big 1v1, and we're 2 minutes left on the clock. Zer will put it home, and we've got a game on our hands here. 2 minutes left on the clock, and just 1 flag between the 2 teams.
I was just about to say, you have to think Quadrant looks for map control here, but they actually try to run the flag in a situation where it was not guaranteed, and it cost them, and now we have a camo in the hands of Batchford as well.
Flag going to be moved here by Quadrant. Batchford's got some decisions to make. It looks like he's going to try and wrap back, play the 50-yard line. Shad's going to spot him now, though. SLG taken down. Really good decision making here by Batchford, and most importantly, staying alive. Riot's also with a kill. And I tell you what, Quadrant have got to be careful here. 3 players fall. But Riot's did fall inside of the base. He was the player that could have got behind enemy lines and got that flag out. Now there's pressure on Batchford.
Oh, look at him. Oh my, picks up one with a great nade. Eventually will die in Gen, but like you say, great plays from Batch to stay alive. However, 70 seconds on the clock. 1 flag game.
Riot staying alive, top pink again. Nurik's trying to push out of the base. Pretty much got 1 push here to make the most of it. A little bit shaky there from Riot, but shaky's okay if you get the kill. Chick trying to put pressure on. Riot's finally taken down. 2 dead here for Scorched Hand. And it looks like Quadrant are still trying to progress up the map. This is a really smart play from Chick. It's so easy to turtle inside your base knowing you've got 50 seconds left. But the best form of defense, as always, is attack.
They need to make sure they don't make the same mistake, though. Yes, start the run. Yes, continue the kills. Yes, pinch the opponent, but do not sacrifice too much for this flag run. And that's exactly what Chick's done. Taking it slow, not forcing this flag.
Rice is inside of the base. Zer is moving up on the pink side as well, so big overextensions. I'll tell you what, Chick has to be very, very careful here. It's a 2v2 on the map. Disarray's going to be flying in. Disarray one-shot SLG with a double kill is going to clear the way. Batchman last player alive. The flag is at home as well.
Wow.
So Chick, I mean, you roll
Textbook.
back that last 60 seconds, as you say, to the T, how you play those situations.
Textbook there. Chick not forcing that flag, instead letting the flag do the work for him. Clock will tick down, only 3 seconds left. It'll be a 4-2 win.
4-2 will be the final score here as the clock does tick down. Quadrant get the first win on the board, but I will say, Scorched Hand in that middle game certainly had something to say about it, and that was not a comfortable game 1 by any stretch of the imagination.
No, it's honestly a great start to the series. I think a lot of people were expecting Scorched Hand to come out fighting, and that's exactly what they did. I think Scorched Hand's going to be a bit bummed. You could tell by the looks on their faces that there was more to play there. They certainly could have taken that game if a few things went a little bit differently. In the end, though, will be a Quadrant win, 4-2, and I think what we saw there is Quadrant learning from their failed potential 4th flag cap. That fails, and it actually cost them a flag. Instead, Chick rewrites the playbook. He drops the flag gen, loops the base, baits it, drops it on bottom dynamo, baits it again in the gen, and just using the flag, right? You're going to make your opponents panic late game to try to force those returns, and that's exactly what they did. They let the game type play out. Here's a look at the stats.
The stats will tell the story of Chick, to be honest with you. 28 and 18. And not only that, 11 assists as well. And I want to take a second to actually talk about this man, Andy, because, you know, you can tell it from his interviews. He's very, very focused, very serious when it comes to Halo and what he wants to achieve. And actually, you know, had a chat with him after the event in Kansas City, where, like I mentioned, Quadrant had a great performance, right? They were arguably the standout team from Europe. And, I mean, look at the damage coming in from Shad as well. Very, very impressive. 7K from him. But, you know, I came up to him afterwards and I was like, hey, man, you know, well played. You must be really happy with how you played this weekend. And excuse my terrible French accent, but he was like, dude, I'm not happy. I was like, you know, we should have gone further in that tournament. We should have won the tournament. And I'm like,
oui.
Dude, I'm like, you've just placed top 8, excuse me. And like, you know, that's a very impressive performance for a European tournament. And he's just not happy with it.
Yep.
You know, and I love that about him, to be honest with you. He wants to win tournaments. He doesn't want to just to participate and do top 8, top 6. Nobody cares about that. Everyone remembers the players who win, and I think the Chick's just got that ingrained in him that he wants to be a winner.
I think it's important. I think it's scary for the rest of Europe, to be honest, that attitude, because while a lot of teams aspire to do whatever they can at events like this, not all of them are unhappy, even when they're getting great results. And I think this Quadrant side is hungry for more. And you could tell even in this game number 1, you could tell by the way that they're taking this series so seriously, the way they're leaning towards each other, the comms that you're seeing, the way they're leaning towards each other mid-match. Plays like this that we saw, beautiful textbook work, just looping around the base, the team shot, the baiting and switching. It was incredible to witness.
I mean, this 60 seconds from Quadrant was perfect Halo, pretty much,
Loved
to be honest with you. There wasn't too much to really dissect that they did wrong. It was just like the flag, unfortunately, they maybe just overextend a little bit, trying to get some extra kills that they didn't need to. But when someone starts a fight, fires 2 shots, escapes, and that player is immediately cleaned up by another player.
Beautiful.
And it happens 3 or 4 times in quick succession. That is not an easy thing to do. And not only does it show that everyone knows their role, it shows that everybody is comfortable in their teammates to move in and pick up those kills as well, to finish off the damage they're done.
Absolutely. Taking a look now at the series layout. 4-2 was your score on CTF Aquarius. Quadrant will take that game number 1. a little bit of contention in the middle of the game. However, it's a comfortable win in the end in that final 2 minutes of play from Quadrant to take it. Next up, we set our sights on Catalyst Slayer for game number 2.
We certainly do. And, you know, we kind of always say the Slayers are the chance for the lower seeded team. And I'm going to try and avoid saying that because it's almost becoming cliche at this point. But if you were to dip your hand in a game-type bucket, which I'm sure exists somewhere in the world, and you pulled out Catalyst Slayer as a game number 2 as a lower seeded team,
Right,
you'd be like, cool.
specifically the Catalyst.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd be
I
like,
agree.
yeah, cool. We'll take that one because there is still an element of a lack of control at all times, I feel, on this map in Slayer.
Yeah.
You never really have a full spawn trap opportunity. You never have a chance to collapse onto teams. It's kind of a little bit standoffy at times with the 2 bases and how people want to move. It's only the overshield that really forces that movement. It's going to be interesting to see how Quadrant actually play this, because if we do see some of the top teams playing against each other a little bit later on, I kind of feel like some teams might have a few tricks up their sleeves and how they want to approach this particular game type.
Right, and especially with 2 game types on Catalyst. Granted, they play very different. You can expect that the top teams here have spent a lot of time on this map to understand exactly how it plays, all the nuances, because it plays quite a bit different than your traditional disc maps, if you will, in Halo Infinite, and a lot of new things to learn and play with. Failed overshield grab, but it will be played by Zuh.
Looks like a good start here for Quadrant as well. It'll be 3-0 by the looks of things. That was actually the Riot's POV that we were watching. Now we're jumping over to Chick, the man who went positive 10 in total on our first game that we saw. Disarray will be, once again, the player to kind of slow things down. He's been the standout so far here for Scorched Hand. He has been the one who's been putting up a real fight in every single fight we see him in.
Shad there thinking about making something happen there. Apologies, we'll get that fixed on your screen there as you're taking a look. Not a Chick, but we'll get those cameras swapped out as well as we take a look once again. 7-3 now in favor of Quadrant, so Scorched Hand able to put a few kills on the board, but still Quadrant, you can actually see, take a look at Chad just smiling there. He's happy, he's having a blast.
Yeah, Shad's having a blast in his player camp. This is SLG, not Chick, just to make sure that we... the only thing that's missing right now from this overlay is Nurix.
Right.
But just he's in the game, so he's still here. But at the moment, it is going to be the POV of SLG that we're watching right now. And this man loves a power weapon. I tell you what, this skewer is something that he's become very proficient with very, very quickly.
Certainly now. As SLG continues to do damage across the map, and we continue to get a look at Shad smiling about it the whole time.
Well, at the moment, it's 11-6, and it's looking very, very solid here for Quadrant at the start of this game. It seems like Scorched Hand have not really been able to get any kind of a foothold, so to speak. Rice just picks up his first kill of the game as well, so finally for Max Cottle, it will be something to at least put in the distance memory the idea that he might unfortunately be on Goose Watch, but SLG still doing some good work, just narrowly missing with that skewer shot again. But every time I see the skewer fight, it reminds me of a party trick that my dad used to do.
Yeah,
he used to, you know, the little party poppers? You
Sure,
have those in the US?
of course. Yeah, we do.
He used to take the bottom off. I'm not telling anyone out at home to do this, by the way. He used to take the string out, put peanuts in.
Peanuts?
Yeah, put the top over and then just fire peanuts at me across the room.
Wow.
It's really strange.
Did you ever catch one?
No.
Speaking of catching one, it's Quadrant here who's caught a lead, 18-8 already, and it's a pretty big one if we're honest in terms of Slayers and how those go, especially on a map like Quadrant. Quadrant, not a map as easy to come back on like a Aquarius, like a Streets, because this map is so segmented, huge 90-degree angles that can be really hard to collapse on and break. The comebacks are harder on this map, so this 9-kill lead for Quadrant early on is going to certainly give them quite an advantage.
Well, it looks like Scorched Hand have decided, you know what, we don't want to play this slow game anymore. We want to try and take the fight to them, and that's an effective push actually coming in. They pick up 2 kills in exchange for 1. It's 12-21, but there is SLG again. Batchford moving in now, and a little bit of damage being done by him. Chick is going to be weak, does have the repulsor to work with, and maybe just a little bit antsy to finish off that kill. You've got to work hard to take down Chick, and there's an example of it.
Yeah, I had a feeling there. Batchford really thinking about pushing bottom gold, and even though he wanted to push the advantage, that's going to be a hard kill once again with that hard 90-degree angle in the back of the base. Those are not easy corners to turn, and they're going to be easily defended, especially if you have a grenade or two. So that will keep the game now at a 9-kill lead for Quadrant.
Yeah, Quadrant, even though they lost a few players at the start of that push, it was just the staggered deaths, right? Chick picking up that 1 kill, staying alive for an extra 5 seconds. He's got the help coming around the corner from respawners before he has to engage once again. Those little things are the difference between these teams at the moment, and every single time that we're jumping on board with a Quadrant POV at the moment, it seems like another kill was picked up. Right, it's in a 1v1. He'll win that. But again, good damage being done that time by Nurix.
Game's still within reach. Yes, it's an 8-kill lead, but still at the 28-kill mark, you can bring this back. Easier, perhaps, on other maps compared to Catalyst, but we'll see if Scorched Hand can maybe slow this down just a bit, secure the next overshield, and slowly start to inch their way back. No reason they should count themselves out just yet.
Yeah, look how Shad's playing this, though. So interesting to me. This shows a lot, I think, about the way that they want to play this. That's going to fly into the base. The problem is, if you play that slow, and the person and the players that get bait gets taken down, you can get swarmed.
Yep.
And this is what's happened right here. That was a good example of it. Scorched Hand pick up the kills that they needed, and even though it's an 8-kill game, get an overshield, then things could change, but the overshield will be played here by Quadrant. SLG recognizing that was the win condition for Scorched Hand, to get that overshield in their hand, so he decided, even if I die here, they ain't got a chance to get back to this game if I jump off the map.
SLG must have identified a reason to push in, because keep in mind, look at all the battle that's happening grapple side. I assumed that the battle at grapple was going to happen, as we're starting to see as the meta evolves. You've seen it as well in scrims. You battle for grapple first. You're the first one who pointed it out to me as scrims started to trend that way. You really battle for grapple first before you get the overshield. SLG must have identified either an opportunity where he needed to deny the overshield or where he thought he could get away with it. In the end, it cost him, but still a little bit of a lead. But you could tell Scorched Hand's still putting up a good fight here in the mid game.
Yeah, they certainly are, and it's getting a little bit closer. The sword is in the hands of Zer as well. And also, soul of SLG as he gets taken down, and all of a sudden, look at this comeback coming in from Scorched Hand. It's now a 4-kill game. One team wipe, they've got the sword, pick up the first kill, and we can have a tie game here.
3-kill game. Just like that, goes back to 4, but still so close. Really surprising once again to not see Quadrant lean into that grapple battle before going for the overshield. It cost him.
There's the counterplay to that sword, though. It's going to be the repulsor. Zer stays alive, but here comes SLG. Exploding up that straight ramp as Disarray now is in position to clean up those kills. But it's still a 4-kill game. That kill from Shad, though, that is the breathing room you wish for in these close games. It opens things up, and even with Disarray picking up 1, that gap is still there, and Scorched Hand has still got work to do.
Scorched Hand needs to be careful right now with the trades. They've traded out for these past few kills, and they've kept the game within 5, but they really need to start watching those trades, because if this goes to just a 6 or 7 kill game, it might become insurmountable.
Disarray's got a lot of responsibility on his shoulders here as well. Let's find out Shad. Shad didn't realize he was there as well. Great teamwork. Nurik's there to trade, though. Chick trying to move in onto Riot. Another important 1v1 is going to be won by Riot, but the trades immediately come in. That's where Quadrant have been so good, and SLG gets the overshield as well.
As the last player alive there for just a split second, SLG should not be able to sneak that overshield out of it. It was a momentary 2v2 that became a 1v1.
Bashford takes him out, though. He had the plasma pistol. He charges that thing up, he strips the shields of SLG, and now Disarray with the win is going to keep this game interesting.
My God, what a dance between these two teams here. This game's still within 5, not over yet. 44-39 in favor of Quadrant.
Eric's taken down by Riot. SLG trying to chase down this kill as well, but there's Bashford to provide that cover fire. It's been a 4-kill game. The difference between these two teams for the last 60, 90 seconds. But now it's a 3-kill game, and Disarray has that sword pinning in Quadrant.
Disarray just using that repulsor just to avoid the grenades, to be honest. Would have to look at the tape, but that could have even saved his life. Now a 3-kill game, 44-41.
Also, Zer has the skewer. Now pressure. It's a lot different from a scrim, this situation. Sitting at home thinking, if I miss this, doesn't matter, we'll go on the next map. This one matters. You've got to hit these shots. Rise is going to be challenging as well, but Chick with the cover fire keeps his teammate alive, but Disarray gets the trade. It's still a 3-kill game. Disarray is making plays, though.
Just a 2-kill game, 45-43. They still have Skewer here. Disarray already on 14 kills. This is down to the wire. What a comeback from Scorched Hand.
Yeah, if I'm Zer right now, I'm dropping this thing off at Disarray because he is not missing many shots. He's winning battles he needs to. And he does have that sword, however, Disarray, so maybe that's why Zer is keeping that responsibility on his shoulders. He's going to be challenging. Shad's doing good damage, but Overshield is coming up in a few moments, Andy. These kills not only could end the game, but they could allow a way back in for Scorched Hand. SLG, though, he's strapping a pair on. He's going for a flank here on Riot.
Things coming in from SLG. It's going to be a trade. And Riot will get traded out as well, so 48-45, 2 kills to go for Quadrant.
Disarray trying to escape and manages to just about do so. Nurix is chasing him down. Disarray picks up one. Where's he gone? Somehow he stays alive. He didn't manage to pull the sword out, and now it's just 1 kill to go here. Bashford doesn't have to go into that death screen, but his teammate will. And Quadrant will go up by 2, but I tell you what, it was a hell of an effort once again from Scorched Hand, and Quadrant are being pushed.
You can kind of tell by the celebration, if we can even call it that.
Very muted.
On the Quadrant side of the stage, that was not the most comfortable of wins, and if we're honest, not the type of win that they came to the main stage planning on. It's a 50-46 that comes down to the wire. Quadrant maintains their composure, stays cool in the end, but once again, a little too close for comfort.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think very, very much so. That was not a game, I think, that really should have got that close, especially with SLG denying that overshield when the difference between the two teams was around 8 or 9 at that point. You take the overshield out of their hands, it's an even game across the board, and it was a great comeback from Scorched.HVND again, showing that they've got something to play for here. And I've got to highlight Disarray, because this man, every time we've been on his POV, I can't really remember him losing a 1v1 that he's had to win.
No, 16 and 11 in that game. It's a great performance, and to be honest, a great performance from the entire side of Scorched.HVND. In the end, though, Quadrant keeping cool at the end game, letting a 9 or 10 kill lead just become a 2 kill lead momentarily at the 45 kill mark, which is the dangerous place to do it at. But in the end, they will close it out and take game number 2 by 4 kills.
So just a moment here to pause for Quadrant. To be honest with you, we'll pop in and have a look at some of the replays from that game. And I think the real difference maker for me was just that overshield towards the end. It was just that comfort level that you need. And somehow SLG, like you say, shouldn't really have been allowed to do what he did. That kind of just small moment of like miscommunication, whatever it is, someone not quite focusing on what they need to. Maybe it's just something as simple as a lack of a coach stood behind them to remind them of this is the play here. SLG manages to steal that overshield away as the furthest player up the map, and that was where they were able to deny that win condition. Like I said, for Scorched.HVND to get back into things.
And big credit to SLG, because that's not only the big overshield play we saw him make, he also had the play where he also played it off the map. He's clearly on top of those power-ups, and I mean, it's a 50-46 and SLG burns one overshield and grabs one overshield solo. Those are the game-winning plays. Those are literally the difference. 50-46 in the end for Quadrant. They will take a series lead 2-0.
Now, I feel like Quadrant are going to be much more comfortable on this next map, though. Quadrant have been very, very good on Strongfire. Strongfire?
Great map.
I don't know what that is, but Live Fire Strongholds is a combination of everything that I just saw in one graphic, but it's going to be Strongholds Live Fire. It's kind of been their bread and butter game type. I feel like it's one that they feel very confident in how they want to approach, and it gives us an opportunity to see the snipe in the hands of a couple of these players. We've seen some nuts things from the likes of Chick. Yeah, we'll talk about that one. Quadrant in general. The back-to-back overkills. SOG, of course, following up that original overkill with another of his own, but they just know how to control certain areas of the map. And if you give them a sniper rifle, what it does on essentially a 3-lane map is it completely locks down one of those lanes, and it allows the rest of the team to just do what they want.
Absolutely. Cannot wait to see what they might do. As Lottie said, we've seen now the Chick and SLG overkills back-to-back. About 100 times now, I think, across these broadcasts, and we still watch it. It's also what we believe is probably the only ever back-to-back overkill in professional play that we've even ever seen in history in 20 years of competitive Halo, so absolutely incredible. We are jumping into game number 3 right now, starting things off with Chick on Quadrant.
Well, let's see what Chick can do off the break here. Quadrant looking for a 3-0 victory, but Scorched.HVND looking to extend this series for sure, and to be honest with you, I almost feel like they deserve to. To be honest, I feel like it's been a very, very strong performance from them. Just a few things not quite gone their way, but they have given Quadrant everything that they possibly could have in those first 2 games. A couple of little moments changing things, and maybe it's Disarray with the sniper rifle who's going to light things up. He's certainly been the man to watch so far for Scorched.HVND. He's getting challenged by Nurix, can't quite connect. And I say can't quite connect, that shot missed by quite some distance, I will say. But early on, you can see here, Scorched.HVND did have momentary control, but AB is the setup that will be gained by Quadrant, but all 4 players trapped at the moment around A, and Backward's got that overshield.
Yeah, you can tell he was eager to get into the action there, and eventually he does get a nice bit of damage. He gets 1 kill as well as the damage needed. Backward knew he did not want to waste that 3 dead for Quadrant. 2 alive for Scorched.HVND.
Chick is the last player alive as well, and he's scarpering through that rat tunnel. He's going to be called out, and it will manage to get a trade in that situation. So as you say, a very good trade, because that turns into a 3 dead now for Scorched.HVND as respawners were winning the fights for Quadrant. It allows them to keep control of B, which is most important. Even though A gets split, they were able to add C to their tally off of the respawners, and they will continue scoring here.
SLG is so sneaky. He's surrounded by 3 players around key door, scoreboard, you can call it keyboard, as well as rat tunnel, and he still almost wins that 1v1 in the rat tunnel. I mean, there's no better place for SLG. Taking a look at the scoreboard here already, 37-8 in favor of Quadrant.
He is my favorite Geordie-speaking Frenchman, which, honestly, I'll tell you what, his accent, it gets on his nerves so much. The man's moved to Newcastle in England very recently, and even though he's the most French-sounding man in the world. Hold up, let me focus on what's in front of us. I was going to say, you say there's got a bit of a Geordie accent going on. SLG does not like you. It's good fun.
It is good fun. Also good fun. Chick hitting body shots like that and then cleaning them up, and maybe just a little bit of foreshadowing, sign of things to come. We've seen what this team can do with this weapon. Now it's in the hands of SLG, 2 shots to play with.
Momentary triple cap as well, and with all players stacked up inside of A, that means the sight lines are going to be here for SLG to have the opportunity to just clip a few wings of players who are trying to overextend out towards B. See, Riot's managed to sneak through, but there's the wing clipper coming in. Manages to drop those shields and cleans it up very, very effectively as well. Rotation for the rest of the team is coming as well onto A. B gets reset at the same time, and now you can see SOG just has to just survive here. Wait for teammates to get back to him. They're all trying to defend C. This triple cap is really stifling Scorched Hand now. They're crossing almost that 100-point mark, and I mean, Scorched Hands haven't really got a point on the board apart from the 8.
And you can just tell Quadrant all on the same page there. SLG knew that one spawner was alive. It was Disarray. He immediately checks bottom tower. Zoe with the boom block there. Still 2 dead, but still 106-8 now. Devastating results so far for Quadrant. This is certainly how they intended this game to go.
Yeah, they just look so comfortable on how they want to approach this map, where they want to rotate onto. And even off respawn, you can see everybody knows what their responsibility is. And it turns into yet another triple cap. And they're going to be able to pressurize C as well. Chick will be able to jump up on this box and do damage to anyone trying to push out. And if he can survive for a few more seconds, then maybe Quadrant had a chance of really defending B. But for now, it looks like the move is coming to C. And here's Nurix. Hey, we talked about SOG, we talked about Chick. How about Nurix?
No!
He can use it as well.
My God, adding to the Quadrant montage collection, which is now growing to a very large archive. Fantastic work here from Nurix here. Game number 3. The man's not done yet.
Yeah, that head just went pop, and now Disarray is going to be taken down as well. Questions asked about this man. Is he the man to take Quadrant to the next level? If he performs like this, I think those questions might be put to bed.
My God, it's a trip cap walk in the park here for Quadrant. Finally, Ace challenged a bit. Nurix says, I'll just swing back over here. See what's going on. Hits the body. Of course he does.
Goodbye.
And there's the killing spree for Nurix. What a performance there from top mid all the way to back A.
I mean, it's just locking things down with that sniper rifle. And if you've got 3-4 players who can do that, it just gives you so much freedom on the map to do whatever you want. If you're one of the players who just knows your teammate's going to hit bodies and hit headshots. And now Chick, off of the back of all the damage done, off of the pressure, has the overshield to work with. He's got a 1v1 inside of B. Riot, yeah, you got a repulsor, but you've got to deal with Chick, who's already dealt with your teammate.
You make Chick turn around, he's like, okay, I'll get a kill over here really quick, then I'll come over back B. I mean, this is absolutely beautiful. Don't let him do it to you. Great recovery there from Riot. In the end, he'll win that battle. But let's talk about how much that cost Scorched Hand. Nurix going back to A and getting that no-scope finish. They had to work so hard to finish A, and now it's 206-8.
And now SOG has a chance to have a little bit of fun with the sniper rifle as well. They defend B. Disarray with the double, though, should turn that sniper rifle back over into the hands of Scorched Hands. The pressure now coming in. Contest comes in at the last second. Disarray knows there's a player in front of him, but just can't do anything about it. The pressure is overwhelming here from Quadrant, and Batchford has to back up as last player alive. Shad doing great work, but Scorched Hand, while this is all going down, managed to flip C momentarily. So from 8 points, they've managed to jack it up a little bit to 21. So at least something to write about here.
Yeah, just a little bit. 2-11 now to 21. This is the home stretch for Quadrant. They're going to be able to flip A pretty comfortably now, and even thinking about C.
At the moment, it's just kills, kills, kills. I mean, you're looking at Quadrant statistics at the moment, and everybody apart from SLG is going positive, and even he's sat at 0. So everyone is having a little bit of a field day here. They're on 230, they have a triple cap, and I mentioned how this has been an extremely strong game type for them, and you're seeing exactly why here. They just seem to prioritize where is the place they need to defend, where they need to try and rotate to, and off the back of it, this is looking like a convincing victory here in game number 3.
It is. Chad's just playing with them here at back B as well. They're probably going to get the B flip, will Scorched Hand, with 2 dead for both sides, and A will start to flip as well.
Overshield picked up by SOG as if you
needed it.
Yeah, as if you needed it. A flipped, C in their control, sniper rifle in his hand. It's time for some montage clips from SLG. Batchford, he's going to ruin everything. We're taking him out with the plasma pistol. Just enough time to work with as well here for him to make sure that this game isn't ended quite yet. But I tell you what, Riot is going to have to go a little bit wacky mode if he wants to elongate this game any further.
Yeah, I think Riot knows what the score is there. He's going to watch the time tick down, and that will be it. And there's a little bit more excitement from the side of Quadrant, Shad, and crew. Excited to end that series on that note. They will sweep 3-0.
Yeah, a much, much more convincing game number 3 as well from them. Very, very organized, and again, you're seeing that individual flair from some of those sniper players as well. And highlighting Nurix, we were doing it before the tournament even started, and you can see why Quadrant knew that he was the player that they wanted to come in and create something a little bit different. When you've got a player like that on your team who can make a play to create opportunities for you, then, as I say, Quadrant make the game look easy. If Nurix had a very, very solid series in my opinion. And I think that you can see why Quadrant made that decision to make the change.
Just shows you how big those 1v1s are, right? You're sending one player A who should have had that A cap, but when you have Nurx coming back to land the body shot no scope and the cleanup, your entire team who's now spawning B and Big Door has to invest everything into back A. It buys you 20, 30 seconds. Plays like that, and like you said, when you have a team like Quadrant where anyone can not just pop off but blow the game wide open, makes a huge difference. 16-9 there in the end from Chick. Nurx, like we talked about, 14-8 as well.
Yeah, Chick had a really, really strong series, as we would expect as well, but you pick any player from that game, and I think the fact that there wasn't a huge amount of kills, to be honest with you, like in total, and the result was 250-21, like you say, it says everything that you need to. Disarray, though, big shout out to him. I thought he played really, really solid on the side of Scorched for every single game that we saw. Once again, you know, just scraping around even. We'll give him that. We'll say just slightly below, but every game in the series he was in really good positions and certainly causing some problems there for Quadrant.
Absolutely, fantastic series in the end. I think Quadrant a little bit of shaky at times here and there, and might have made people nervous, but in the end, I think it's a pretty convincing result that Quadrant's going to be happy with.
So all of our high seeds looking very, very strong today. I think Quadrant arguably with one of the strongest showings alongside Ascend as we would have expected. So the French team's looking very, very strong. We'll have to see what the desk has got to say about that series. As I say, Quadrant with another 3-0 win.
Thank you so much, Onset and Bravo. Yeah, a pretty swift one there for Quadrant. And they have answered a couple of questions we had up here. You know, are they going to be starting off hot as they go through the tournament? My goodness me, it was a scorcher up on that main stage. Really impressed with what Quadrant showed across the board here. Shozi, thoughts, feelings overall? What are you impressed with? What are you not impressed with?
Well, I think Scorched Hand, it was Scorched Legs for me on Sunday, but I tell you, they got burned up there today. I think 3-0. It was quick, it was easy. I think I highlighted before the game, Batchford, I really wanted to see him get off. I'm a massive fan of Batchford, but stats like 7-14 that last game, 18-27 in game one. You cannot put up that kind of scoreline when you're playing against some of the best players in Europe.
No, you can't.
Yeah, no, I was going to say I completely agree because we expected a bit more from him, and also we had question marks on Nuix as well. I wanted to see a bit more just coming out, not just damage dealt or his position on the map, but just in general, and showed a lot of style points, showed a lot of flair. That last game proved it. Also on the side of Scorched Hand, Disarray very impressed. It wasn't just the fact that he was slaying and just cleaning up, he was doing all the damage at the same time. For Zer as well, also did quite well in the second game, but could have done a little bit more damage, and there was a few wasted shots of that skewer, which we definitely saw beforehand.
We knew full well that Quadrant were going to win that live fire Strongholds, so it had to be Slayer Catalyst if we were going to see Scorched Hand get back into this. They brought it close, 50-46, not a bad result whatsoever, but unfortunately, after losing that one, they were never going to get back into this series, and Quadrant are going to take full advantage of the situation where they get to play one of their best game types as map number 3.
Something I expected from Quadrant was to run this series, and that's exactly what we've seen, right? We've seen Ascend beat a top 12 seed, but this wasn't an easy game. This is a top 6 seed team they're playing against. This was a banana skin by all rights. They made it look easy.
They did make it look very easy, and I've got to say there were some kind of shaky moments, I think, you know, from Scorched that I was hoping they'd capitalize on. I mean, my goodness, the Slayer and Catalyst, the fact that they came back the way that they did, it got to a point where they were only 3 kills behind, and it was an easy turnaround. I feel like they had the numbers at certain moments in time. We saw the skewer in their hands, and I thought, this is it. This is where the change happens. But I just feel like they lack the discipline, the patience to be able to actually come together, make a really strategic push, work as a team, and it was hard.
I think what Quadrant did really well in those final moments is they chased kills. And I know that sounds bad, but on a map like Catalyst, you can't afford to let players get away. And they were beelining for players. They knew they had a few kills to give away, so instead of just hiding around corners, hoping to maybe catch a player, they said, I know this player is weak, I am going to find them, I will hunt them down. And we saw it happen on two occasions. SLG just chased the player until he was dead, and they got those final kills because of it.
He certainly did. Tell you what, we chased SLG though this time around because we got him on the desk. SLG from Quadrant, it's so good to see you, dude. So nice to have you up on the desk. First of all, a phenomenal win to start off your LAN, to start off this weekend. How are you guys feeling up there on the stage?
Feeling pretty good. I love being on stage, obviously, with the squad and everything. So we took this match as a warm-up because it's our first match of the day and of the weekend. So it was like a test, so to see how we adapt to each other, and obviously welcoming Nurx back into the squad.
Yeah, you certainly are. My big question was about this, you know, this roster change and mixing it up a little bit and bringing Nurx back. How are you feeling about that? How are you feeling in terms of the vibes, the dynamic, and what you guys want to achieve out there?
Well, we obviously coming to win the event. That's the main goal, like every team's coming here. So yeah, the vibes are good, and just ready to play, really.
I mean, if that was a warm-up game for you, and that's the second best seed in your group, when do you guys stop warming up? Because is every game in pool play just a warm-up at this point?
I mean, yeah, of course, we came back from KC finishing top 8, so we have a high expectation for our team, and we do want to, well, to do good, obviously. So yeah, every game is a warm-up until final.
Talk to me about game 2, Slayer Catalyst. Now, it was a close one by the stats, 50-46, but you really came into your own. It's like they handed you the keys to run the game, and you really outperformed the rest of your team. Talk to me about why Slayer Catalyst maybe agrees with your gameplay.
Sorry?
Too Irish for me. sorry, too Irish. Tell me why.
I'm French.
Tell me why Catalyst is so good for you.
So, how Catalyst went for us?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was a close game in score, but I think we let it slip a bit out of our hand at some point. But yeah, it wasn't really, as I said, like we're still warming up, so we're still like trying up stuff, try to get on the same page together, and just basically trying things a bit together. More like, it was close, but it wasn't really close.
Yeah, one thing I was going to mention was the fact that at one stage you saw Scorched dictating the pace of the game due to Xur having sword. You had to be a little bit more cautious on what you had to do. Does that throw you off sometimes when your opponents have to dictate the pace and play back conservatively?
If we need to play back conservatively?
Yeah, like does it throw you off just entirely, just due to the fact that how aggressive your team is, like you're not used to it?
Not really, like it depends. I mean, obviously if they have power weapons on map control, it's gonna be harder, but that's the same for every team, so obviously, like, because it's a game about controlling maps and power weapons, so yeah, if they have power weapons and map control, yeah, it's harder than if we have it.
SLG, obviously, on the Pro Series, we saw you guys take your first Pro Series win. It was absolutely amazing. We were so excited about that. Since that day, things have seemed to go a little bit backwards rather than forwards for you guys. Just in terms of results now, that can be down to a bunch of different things, obviously online being a huge factor. How are you feeling about the little bit of backpedaling that was happening for the team, and then obviously coming into LAN now, having to prove yourselves once again? Are you feeling confident about getting back on top?
I mean, yeah, we're definitely confident playing together. Like online, and like the Pro Series obviously matters, but it wasn't like we didn't feel it, we were backpedaling. It was just like, you know, being better as a team, being better at each other. So either we win or we lose. We don't really overthink about it. You know, as long as we debrief and like get better as a team and together, it's all that matters at the end.
That's the mindset of a champion right there, people. That's exactly how you need to handle the wins, the highs, the lows, all of the above. Thank you so much, SLG, for joining us. Thank you so much for that exceptional series that we saw on the main stage, and best of luck through the rest of the tournament.
Thank you.
Well, there we have it, folks. We're going to head to a quick break right now, but when we come back, we have another banger of a series on the cards for you guys. We have Na'Vi versus Blackhand. This should be an interesting one. We'll see who'll come out on top right after this.